What's up, guys? Welcome back to Football Week. I'm James, he's Deshaun, and we are talking...
So pumped to be here right now.
yeah, you are. And you will be pumped because we are talking some... Oakland Raiders! We got the Oakland Raiders theme song for you. Hey, dude, is this an NFL theme song, or did the Raiders actually do this song?
It's an NFL film.
Really?
Yeah, that's back in the early days of NFL films. They always had really epic music, and I loved all of them. It's great.
Wow.
What Do You Do with a Drunken Sailor? That's another one. You hear that a lot in NFL films. So
I like the one where you got
The Black Hole.
I forgot what it was called.
Coliseum.
I forgot what it's called, but I like the one where the drums or the strings are going bump 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 bump. And the only reason why I like that is because I literally can imagine a marching band or a bunch of fans or football players. Always. Deshaun, before we break down the Raiders, I'm going to throw you a loop.
Do it, buddy.
Last year, we were at the Raiders game, and you said...
I know where you're going.
Some pretty controversial things about Al Davis.
I did.
The former owner of the Oakland Raiders.
May you rest in peace.
Now, what's ironic about this is that you said these statements. A couple weeks later, he died.
You know, that was really weird. I talked about when it happened. I was like, there was no, and I said the exact thing about it in my blog. I said, you know, the Oakland Raiders are not going to be successful until Al Davis dies, because that was the only way he was going to relinquish his hold on the Oakland Raiders as an organization. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, it's not to say that Al Davis was a bad owner. It's not. It's the fact that he wanted to do things the old-fashioned Oakland Raiders way, which worked, you know, from the time of the merger all the way through probably about the mid-'90s. But once everything kind of started to modernize and move forward, he didn't want to move forward along with it. And unfortunately, due to his stubbornness, he wound up kind of turning the team and throwing it into the dirt. And that was the one thing that always frustrated me as a Raiders fan. And again, not saying that he's a bad person. He needed to take a step back and just be an owner, not an owner and GM.
Did you feel bad after saying what you said?
No.
After that?
I did.
So you still stand by it?
I still stand by that.
You still think that he needs
There was a vast amount of improvement overall for the team, despite the fact that Jason Campbell got injured in the middle of the season, and we got T-Bowed, and plus having to start over fresh with Carson Palmer as a new quarterback. They were on the verge of doing things. They really, believe it or not, they performed very well after the death of Al Davis, and they showed a lot of spunk, they showed a lot of fire. They put that commitment to excellence and that just win baby approach on field that particular week, and I felt that, to me, a cloud kind of got lifted. And that's not to say that Al Davis is a bad negative cloud. It was just you could feel the start of a new era happening.
Well, my thing about Al Davis though is I originally thought that was the case, but then they fired their coach again.
You know, and in the classic Raiders way, I was going to that's going to be one of my segues. So let's just go right into the AFC West recap. There was a 3-way tie. First place. Denver, San Diego.
And I am sorry.
Everybody...
Hang on. I want to say something. Everybody harps on the NFC West for being the worst division in football. Hello! 8-8. 3-way tie. Very few people... I mean,
but you want to know the difference is? 8-8 is still 500.
8-8 may still be 500. I swear... I haven't said this on camera yet. I swear the only reason why the NFC West is laughable and why people can't take it seriously is because... if you look at all the divisions, all of them historically, with the exception of the Niners, have not been successful.
True.
That's the only thing I can fathom. Our division champ was 13-3. Right. The NFC West, a team from the NFC West has won at least one playoff game for the last 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And you know, when something like this happens, you know, when you got AFC West, the AFC West being, you know, Denver, San Diego, and Oakland all being 8-8, everything was just okay. Let's sweep everything under the rug. They all were also 3-3 within the division.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's funny because the year before with Tom Cable as coach, I'm going to get into why 8-8 does not get it done in Oakland here in a minute. But that previous year with Tom Cable, they went 8-8. They swept the AFC West.
Right.
Which was the strange part. and they fired him. And I'm like, what'd you do that for? You have a coach that swept the AFC West. That's a division that's traditionally one of the harder divisions to get through, just because we gotta play San Diego, we gotta play Denver, and the Kansas City Chiefs, for the most part, well, just depends on the year what's going on. They're also a team that's also a force to be reckoned with.
Well, my thing with the AFC West, at least when the Seahawks were there, and granted I didn't follow the Seahawks a lot when they were a part of the AFC West, but I still think that the AFC West is arguably the top two, maybe the toughest division in football. Not just because, I know some people say, oh, what about the NFC and the NFC East? But like you said, you got to go to Denver. You got to play a mile high.
Yeah.
Then you have the Oakland Coliseum.
The Black Hole is a very tough place.
Yeah, and then you have Arrowhead. Regardless of how well the Chiefs are doing, I don't know about Qualcomm in San Diego, but I will say
Qualcomm's pretty decent. But it's so big that it's not as menacing.
And also, according to NFL Network, I don't have the actual countdown in front of me, but when they did top 10 home field advantages,
Arrowhead was pretty high.
Yeah, well, Seattle, first off, I just want to say was number 9. That was
and that's a legit call.
Yeah. But Denver, Oakland, and Kansas City were all in that countdown.
Mm-hmm.
All of them in the countdown. And it's like, that's just a brutal
division where the home team definitely does, in fact, have an advantage, because it's a division that has such a unique home field advantage.
Right.
You got to play in altitude. You got to play. We got to play one game. Hopefully when you play Kansas City, you play them early in the season when it's not frigid and cold and the winds aren't blowing through as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to play in the Black Hole, one of the more menacing places in the division. And also, I wouldn't say to say in all of the NFL, but within the division, it's a pretty gnarly place to play.
And no offense to the Oakland Coliseum, but I haven't heard great reviews about the stadium.
I've been to the Oakland Coliseum, and it's not the greatest place on the face of the planet. It's just a building.
Well, and also too, as I quote, John Clayton, it still got damaged from the 1989 San Francisco earthquake.
It needs to either be torn down or rebuilt, or just get rid of it and everybody move. And that seems to be, because I know the A's are thinking about moving to San Jose. That's another option. Whatever happens, you're going to have two separate stadiums for baseball and football. The era of the multi-use stadium outdoors is completely gone.
Right, and that at least for baseball it's terrible. Because you have those unbelievable foul territories. Basically, like the pitching mound is the 50-yard line. Mm-hmm. And then where the bullpens are, that's where the end zones are. Mm-hmm. And that's where there's so much in the way of foul territory. It's a pitcher's ballpark, which is ironic because every single time the Mariners go down there, the A's always, hit a lot. So I've always looked at it as a hitter's ballpark, but in reality it's a...
Well, we're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to get back...
I'm sorry!
I know.
I'm sorry.
We kind of went on a tangent, and that's okay.
But, okay, so for the next up, as you said, they went 8-8. So where is the ninth win going to come from, or do you see them getting at least 8-8?
Well, see, here's the thing. Jumping back to the whole 8-8 thing, and we have a motto in Oakland, and that motto, we have two mottos. One is just win, baby, and number 2 is a commitment to excellence. And I've said a million times that those two priorities need to be switched. In order to get to just win, baby, you have to have the commitment to excellence. And in classic Raider fashion, when we say a commitment to excellence, we want playoff wins, and we want AFC championship wins, and we want Super Bowl appearances and wins. Unfortunately, that means 8-8 does not get it done. So in the last 3 years, Tom Cable got fired for having 8-8 season. Again, he swept the AFC West that year. Hugh Jackson also went 8-8 last season, got completely and got cut as well. This concerns me for the simple fact that the team has not had a solid offensive package and a solid coach for at least the last, I say 3 coaches in 3 years because Lane Kiffin, or Lame Kiffin, as I like to call him in a professional sense, he had an abysmal overall record too. But 3 coaches, 3 years does not show me consistency. That does not show me as a fan a commitment to excellence. Commitment to excellence is sometimes you got to accept 8-8 as a benchmark. Mm-hmm. So here's to hoping that new coach Dennis Allen can show us what he's got. He's got an advantage. He does not have a head coaching background. He doesn't. He's been defensive coordinator with both the Broncos and the Saints. So I mean, he doesn't. There's not a lot on him, and I think that's actually a really really good thing because now 8-8 may not seem so bad because it's literally a first year coach, not somebody who's been in the league for X amount of years and then coming into 8-8. It's literally we now have a foundation. What does that mean for the team? Unfortunately, it means a new offense. It means a new defense.
Do you think if you won the division at 8-8 and hosted a playoff game that you would be where you are today, and would you still have your coach, and would people be thinking differently?
I would like to say so, but me personally, no. Again, you're talking to a guy who hates 500. I don't applaud mediocrity.
Oh man, yeah, you don't. You really don't like mediocrity.
Because being at 500 is not a bad thing. But it's not a good thing either. You're literally stuck in neutral.
Yeah. I mean, well, and particularly with football. I mean, not so much hockey, basketball, or baseball, but if you go 8-8, I mean, yeah, you could point to 2, maybe 3 games where you could be like, hey, if that does,
we could have easily been. I could say probably. I think 9, 10 wins would have been possible. I really think so. But again, we took a key injury with Jason Campbell getting injured. He broke his clavicle, aka his collarbone. So that totally wrecked the season because he was actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, he was leading the charge. I mean, you're talking about some games that you could have won at Buffalo in the second week of the season last year. Jason Campbell threw 323 yards in a 3-point loss to the Bills.
Yeah.
He also threw 344 yards.
And that game came down to literally the last second.
Yeah, and against New England, now you could look at this as a blowout, 31-19 loss, but he also threw 344.
Yeah, and
now one guy that I will say though, you got to give props to. You hated him in the preseason game. You were yelling at him when we were there. But Kyle Bowler got you a win against Cleveland 24-17.
Kyle, I should have been a bowler. I will. You know what?
Give him credit. Give him credit.
I will definitely give him some props.
This man's face went so red when Bowler came in.
It's very hard for me to turn red.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Kyle, is that Kyle Bowler? He's like,
Kyle, I should have been a bowler. That's not my direct quote. That's Skip Bayless' quote. So.
But he did get a victory for you guys against Cleveland.
He did.
So.
Yeah, it's a fledgling Cleveland team, but a win's a win's a win.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did exactly what your backup's supposed to do: get you a win.
And it looked like Carson Palmer got up to a poor start against Kansas City.
Well,
and Denver, but then if you look afterward, I mean, he
started to catch fire.
Yeah,
he got comfortable with the offense, and he also got really comfortable with his receiving core.
So, do you think he will be the catalyst this year?
I think he can be, but the O-line's got to keep him off his back.
Okay.
As well, he can't take as many sacks, and also he actually wound up becoming the spearhead of the offense with the injury to Darren McFadden. That was definitely a big key that we also lost, which. Again, could have helped us win those extra 2, maybe 3 games. Because again, when he was there, he was a force to be reckoned with on the field. Because Darren McFadden, he's the perfect combination of speed, agility, and power. And I'm gonna go so far as to say he is a modern day Bo Jackson.
And he also, from what I understand, I'm going to rejoin the league, but you always have him on your fantasy team, so he's great for points as well.
He is great for points. He really is.
Now, I was watching, first off, we want to give a shout out to one of the loyal viewers that we have on YouTube, Roller Coaster Freak. How's it going? I was watching his vlog in regards to the preseason for Oakland, and he said that the defense needs to be improved.
It definitely does need to be improved.
So, in what areas?
It needs to be improved from a corner secondary, from cornerbacks, and also really just the big uglies up front. I mean, we got to break through the line is what ultimately winds up having to happen. And they had a very I have the draft picks here, but they had a very very soft NFL draft. They didn't have a first round draft pick because we gave that up to pick up Carson Palmer. So we didn't start picking until the third round with Tony Bergstrom.
Ouch.
Outside tackle.
So much for watching the 2 primetime.
Well, no joke. I believe it or not, for me, watching the draft this season was awesome. awful. It was like, I mean, I got to watch what Seattle did,
Mhm.
and I kind of got to. It's still fun to watch, but it's a lot more fun
When your team is
involved. Definitely. And so they started out with Tony Versham, outside tackle, in the third round, and they picked up Miles Burris in the fourth round, outside linebacker. Jay Crawford, defensive end, in the fifth round. They picked up another receiver in the fifth round as well, in Jerron Kreiner, which is actually, I think, is actually going to be a pretty good value pick as well. And then Christo Buglisi. I can't even pronounce it. Buglisi? I don't know, man.
Where is this? That's not Puglisi, dude.
I know.
Why the heck did you say that?
I was just making it up.
Come on, man.
Picked him up.
I am not Polish. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's not Puglisi. There's no SKI in my name. Like, come on now.
Like, relax.
Okay.
Breathe. Good job. And they picked up Nathan Stupor, another Stupor.
That's awesome.
And in the seventh round for the final pick in the draft, which tells me they went mostly defense first.
Okay.
And really there's nothing wrong with that, because again there's a lot of value again in the third round. There's a lot of value in the fourth round, and once you hit the sixth, seventh rounds, you're kind of going, okay, what's out there? What can I pick up?
And that's when the NFL teams should have gone with Siwu quarterback Mike Riley, but
right.
That's a topic for another day.
That's true.
So the question is you emphasize, we talked about defense, talked about Carson Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, when we were doing show prep, you said you want to talk about where the ninth win is going to come from.
Where that mythical ninth win is going to come.
I'm going to tell you what I think the Raiders are going to do, and then I'll tell you where potentially that ninth win can come from. I think going into the season, I can see the Raiders going 6-10, where I have them beating Jacksonville at home, Miami on the road, Kansas City on the road because they won last year on the road in overtime, Tampa on the road.
They play them early, so that's a super bonus.
No, they play them in week 8.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
it'll be a little
you might
be it'll be coldish, but it won't be like almost snowing.
Right. Well, they're also playing Kansas City late in the season at home, which
is good.
But I have them winning against Cleveland at home, and San Diego on the road because they won in San Diego on the road last year.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 6 victories. Where I think they could potentially get the 7th and 8th wins, I probably would have to go with San Diego at home to open up the season on Monday night.
Monday Night Football, yeah.
And then I can see them winning against Kansas City at home later in the season. I have them down as a loss because the Chiefs beat the Raiders last year.
Yeah.
But those I'd say would be the toss-up. When it comes to that 9th win, this might be a stretch, but I'm going to say, actually I think this is a stretch now I think about it. I'm going to say Carolina on the road in week 16.
That's actually one of the wins I was thinking of.
And I know we're going to talk more about this. I have it victory at home against Peyton Manning and the Broncos.
You're kidding.
Where else is it
going to come from? That's true, and you're catching Peyton Manning still early.
No, that's it. That's in week 14.
That's week 14.
Okay,
but we play him earlier. We play him in a Monday Night Football matchup, if I remember correctly.
You play, according to ESPN.com, San Diego on Monday night, and then that game against
It's a prime
Denver.
time game.
Yeah, that game against Denver is actually a 105 kickoff.
105
Yeah.
kickoff, okay.
But I mean, if you look at your schedule's pretty tough because I'm like, you're not going to beat Pittsburgh. You're not going to beat Atlanta. You're not going to beat Baltimore. Shut up. I can see you.
Sounds so East Coast to say Baltimore.
I know. I got New York roots. You're not going to beat the Saints, and the only team that I think that has a legitimate defense that you could beat would be Cleveland.
Would be Cleveland. Yeah.
But I can't see.
I
can't see another win.
I do think I think 9-7 is legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
I do. NBC Sports has Oakland going 10-6. I think that's a stretch. I do.
See, I've been going.
They actually NBC Sports actually had them jumping on, had us beating Denver in the earlier game in the season because again you're still catching Peyton Manning, trying to get his offense and get his receivers down. So that's a possibility. I do think we're going to take both those losses. I personally do. I want to say that we can beat them, but if we have a chance, it's going to be in that first game. It will be.
You think that you're going to be able to beat Peyton Manning on the road in Mile High?
It's a possibility. It's It's early enough in the season where I think you can catch him off guard. Then from what I've seen of Peyton Manning in the preseason, he doesn't have the zip that he used to.
Well, but the thing is though is, if that Denver game in Week 4 was at home, I probably would agree with you. But the thing is, it's at Mile High.
It is.
I mean, it was, or what is it? Was like Costco or Costco Park?
Costco at Mile High.
Mile High or something like that. But anyway, you got to play. You got to go there. And that's the thing that scares me, and in terms for the Raiders,
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
it's that unique home field advantage.
Yeah, and
a 70-yard field goal is also possible.
Yeah, I risk that I won't go in there. But I mean, other than that, you got a pretty hard schedule. I mean, from the looks of it, you got to play the AFC North, and I'm just trying to think of, and the NFC South. And granted, I think it's going to be a tough year for you guys. I really do think you guys will go 6-10. But if you are going to have toss-up games, I think your biggest toss-up games are San Diego at home in the opening game, Kansas City at home in Week 15, and then if you want to get the 9th win, there's no other place other than Carolina Week 16 or Denver at Week 14.
Week 14.
I mean,
anything is totally possible, but I think 9-7 is a good benchmark. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit 8-8, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go lower than that. I wouldn't be surprised.
So for the AFC West, what is the predictions?
I've got for the predictions, I've got Denver finishing first. I've got Kansas City finishing second. Oakland finishing third.
Now, do you want the Chargers? Do you think the Chargers are going to finish in the last? Because
I will never put the Chargers ahead of the Raiders ever.
Okay, all right. Take the bias out. Take the bias out.
Okay, take the bias.
And tell me where the Chargers are going to finish.
Legitimately, they'll finish ahead of Oakland.
They'll finish. Okay, so you have the Raiders finishing in last then.
No, I haven't. Actually, I do.
Okay, well I have.
But I mean, again, it's wild. One never knows what's going to happen. I just feel that because also the thing about San Diego is also one of the reasons why I do have them fourth besides the biases. San Diego tends to come on late, but it seems to be that trend is not happening anymore. So if you jump on them early enough, and that's because they seem to take a lot of losses early in the season, and they expect to come on late and kind of squeak into the playoffs. But last season that didn't happen, and I think if they keep going with that same regime, they're going to be stuck at the bottom again.
Well,
at the bottom.
Which I'm sure you will probably.
I will relish it. I will. But I mean, I don't feel that this year San Diego is as strong of a team as people probably are saying that they are.
Well, then we respectfully disagree with each other because I have the Broncos winning the division. I have the Chargers finishing in second because of their late surge, and then I do have the Raiders at third place. I do think they're going to go 6-9, and then for the Chiefs finishing last place. But I think there is a good shot the Raiders will surprise some people. I hope they lose the preseason game against the Seahawks, but it's preseason. But I think with the way that they played last year, I think that they will shock some people. But I think their schedule is so tough to the point where I think they're going to take more bumps and bruises than.
It's all going to come down to what Carson Palmer is going to bring to the table, Darren McFadden, and also what the defense is going to do. If the defense shows up and can play that nasty late 70s to early 90s style of Raider defense, Raider football, I think they definitely have it. They definitely have a shot. If they can at least get to a glimmer of it. I'm not saying they're going to get there all the way this season. If they can just show me glimpses, I'll be satisfied.
Okay, so in other words, the Raiders are in year 2 of rebuilding if they have a 5-year.
They're back at year 1.
They're back at year 1.
They're back at year 1. When you get a new coach, you start over.
Well, I guess I should know that because I'm an Emmy fan. All right, so that will do it for our Raiders segment. Where I got a final segment coming up. We're going to talk Super Bowl picks, and we'll do that next up here on Football Week.